Okay. Hopefully this is working. It looks like the microphone. I'm hoping you can all hear me, and if not, then this just gets to be my personal practice. Oh, good Lord. Okay. So I'm just planning on doing a little practice for myself and felt like recording it. If you'd like, please join me on the mat. We're going to just do some grounding. I'm going to listen to my body and what it needs after having a pretty hard mental health week. Invitation to grab water, bolsters, blankets, all of the cozy things. I'm actually going to fill my water up real quick before starting. Welcome to a practice. Again, I hope you can hear me. I'll try to talk loud enough to be heard by the camera, and if not, this ends up getting to be a practice for myself. I've been having quite a week where some of my own mental health stuff has arisen. And this practice is really to tend to the need to ground, to reconnect and release energy, to keep moving forward with our weeks. I'm actually gonna shift this just a little bit. So I am centered. I think for today, we'll go ahead and we'll start our practice laying on the mat. You can have a bolster, a blanket, any other props you want nearby. And we'll just gently lower ourselves onto the mat here. Taking a moment to adjust your clothing, to adjust your body. See if you can get the head to rest evenly on the mat. Tuck the shoulder blades underneath you, tuck the hips underneath you. And like keeping your feet on the mat, knock your knees into touch. So feet become about mat width distance wide. But just start to settle in. Maybe there's a yawn or a sigh. Oh, letting yourself arrive here. Maybe noticing how it feels to slow down in this moment, to reconnect to you, knowing that it's perfectly normal for feelings and emotions and sensations to rise as we slow down. We'll just start here, starting to bring that attention inward. Maybe you have an intention for your practice today. Maybe you want to take my intention, which is to ground and to shake it out. I ground and release. We'll take some intentional breaths in, breathing in through the nose, feeling the upper back, the mid back, the low back, all press into the earth beneath you as you fill up. And releasing that out the same way. The low back peeks up off the earth. The ribs compress. The upper back softens as you let that exhale out through the nose or the mouth. Big breath in, feeling into the upper back, the mid back, the low back. Letting that out the same way. Just taking a couple rounds here, breathing in and out, maybe thinking that intention in your mind. I ground and release. Giving permission to whatever needs to show up in this practice to be welcome and validated. It's here for a reason. One more round of breath in. And let that breath go with a sigh, a yawn. Whatever comes. And we'll start here on that next inhale, reaching the hands and the legs out in this big X shape, letting that low back peel off the mat any amount. As you exhale, start to bring those limbs together. You might even lift the head up off the mat, nose to knees, finding this small ball shape. And then moving between those two shapes with the breath, inhaling to find that big X. Exhaling to bring it all together. Head can stay on the mat or it can peel up as you create that small ball shape. We'll do that a few more times, just moving with the metronome that is your breath. Maybe you make sounds or add additional gestures, that's okay. And then on your next inhale, lower the head down, lower the feet down. We'll start to rock over to one side, bringing one arm underneath the head here for support, or you can bring a bolster in. And we're just going to gently lift the legs up and let them come down. So breath in to lift the legs, open up. Exhale to bring them down. My intention here was to twist, and that did not quite work. So we're going to try something else. We're going to inhale, open the arms up. That's much better of a twist. And exhale, bring them back together. You can either have that bottom arm underneath the head, and we're just opening up that top arm. Or you can have the arms out like an alligator's mouth, hands clapping together and opening wide. And just following your breath here, finding this gentle twist through the spine. You don't have to open up all the way. You might just open the arms up slightly, just depending on how your spine is doing this afternoon. And I'll do one more breath in. And breath out. For you, you could just back through center. Over towards the other side. We'll take those same moves on the other side. I'm going to flip to face you. Knees tucked in, arms out in front of us. And on an inhale, opening up those arms, finding a twist out. Exhale, bring. Moving with your breath at your pace. We'll do this a couple rounds on this side. Letting any yawns come or any sounds come. One more time here, opening and closing that off. From here, we'll bring that bottom arm underneath the head. The legs out long. If this doesn't feel comfortable on the hip, you might take, or you might bring the knees back in as that extra support. Top leg could be long here. Finding what feels okay in your body here, any variation of laying down. And we're just going to inhale, reach the arm up and overhead, Think about finding length through the side body wherever you're at. Exhale, hand comes back down towards the side body. Inhale reaches up, spreading those ribs, finding a little bit of length. Exhale. Bringing this down. I'm sorry, I will be yawning throughout this practice. And 2 more times here, just moving with your breath. Really getting in tune with these subtle movements that are happening here. Last one on this side. And then wherever you're at, you can simply roll through your midline to the other side. I'm going to flip horizontally since I am taping, but you do what makes sense for your body. Bringing that bottom arm under support, and we'll take this shape to the other side. Notice if your legs want to do the same thing here, if they want to do something different. On that first inhale, sweeping the arm up and overhead, allowing the entire side body to follow that arm, stretching out long. Keeping that arm back, painting across the ceiling as you bring that hand back down, tapping it on your hip. Follow your breath here to explore this subtle side bend movement. One more round here. Breath in, fill up all the way into the side of the rib cage. And exhale, come back through neutral. And we're going to start our little shaking practice here. It's both to let our bodies move and shake, as well as to bring in some sensation of grounding and touch to different planes of our body. So it's going to look a little funny. It's going to feel a little funny. Listen to your body. But we're going to start on the belly. We're going to stack the palms on top of each other. And before I let myself come down into this position, we're going to curl the toes under. And essentially, we're going to be pushing into the toes to let all of the parts of our body that are making contact shift and find friction with the yoga mat or the ground beneath us. We're just going to pulse here to feel that sensation. You can go as fast or as slow as you'd like. And we'll be there for a couple of breaths. So if you're ready to get in, you can lower the forehead to the palms. And we'll just start to push our toes into the ground and rock our body back and forth for a few rounds of breath here. Taking those full breaths in and full breaths out. You might feel the tops of the thighs, the belly, the chest, the forehead, rocking back and forth on the mat, on the ground. One more round of breath. And then come to stillness, untuck the toes, take a moment to just notice. A little bit of intentional shaking, intentional contact with the earth. And this transition to stillness, noticing how it lands in your nervous system today. And then from here, we'll rock on to one side. Again, bringing that bottom arm under our head. Here we have a couple of options. We can set up like before, bringing that top foot into like this figure 4 shape with the foot on the ground. And this can be our point of leverage where we're pressing into that foot to move the body. You'll get more of a side-to-side movement there if you take that. Or you can stack the feet and you dig the bottom foot into the ground to start to find that rocking. I'm going to take this second option, but do what works for you. If you're having trouble, you can find a wall, or in this instance, a couch. You can push against a wall or a couch to get that traction. Although that's going to shake my entire wall, that's okay. And I'll take a couple moments here, again, moving at a pace that feels good for your body. And then when you feel ready, bringing that to a pause, letting the feet or legs come to neutral. Just noticing what that side body feels like after a little bit of shaking. A little bit of intentional contact with the earth. And this moment of settling and noticing. And we'll keep taking that to all of the sides of the body. So now we'll roll onto the back body. Similar options here. You can have your knees bent, feet into the ground, and that can be your point of traction where you find the shift forward and back. You can have the feet extended long, the heels dig in. And that's where you find that movement. So it's like pointing and flexing the toes. If you've got longer hair, you can shift that out from underneath you so you don't tug on it. And we'll just take a couple breath cycles here. Remember to breathe, shifting back and forth, noticing the parts of the body that make contact with the earth as we do this intentional shake. This is particularly good if you have that sense of shakiness in your body, if you've had the impulse to shake. It kind of gives it a directed place to come out. One more breath cycle here. And let it come to stillness. Notice how that stillness feels. A couple breaths, just noticing how that all lands. When you're ready, we'll take it to that opposite side. So rocking onto that other side of the body, the one that you haven't gotten to yet. Bringing the feet towards the wall or digging that bottom foot into the earth. Third option is to step the top foot over and using that as that point of traction. And we'll start to shake. Shifting up and down here. Just a few rounds of breath. And then bringing that to a pause. Noticing how that feels. When you're ready to find some more movement, we'll bring the knees in towards the chest and we'll start to shift up to a seat. Scooching back to the back of our mat. And then didn't realize I left the chat on. Then we'll come into on all fours. Bringing the knees wide, start to bring the toes together, sit the hips back, and start to settle into a child's pose. Forehead comes towards the mat. And we'll just take some breaths here, breathing into the back body. Breath into the upper back, mid back, all the way into the low back. Letting that out the same way. One more inhale. One more exhale. And start to walk the hands back underneath the shoulders. Press into the palms. Start to bring the knees back together. Walk those handprints out. And we'll bring let's bring that left foot behind us, and we'll just start to find that rock forward and back here. Again, noticing what pace your body wants to move at. Maybe it wants to be bouncy and shaky. Maybe it wants to be slow, like a wave. Finding that pulse through the calf, through the hamstring, through the glute, that stability in the hands and the shoulders. And then we'll bring that to a pause, pressing into the palms. We're going to lift the back heel off the mat. Exhale, bring the knee towards the nose, find a rounding, and then we're going to slip that ankle up towards the opposite wrist and start to wiggle walk the back feet to find a pigeon pose here. Make any adjustments that you need. Then we'll start to come back down towards the mat. Forearms can come to the mat. Maybe forehead comes to the mat. Notice if your body wants any intuitive movement here. I notice this rocking wanting to come into my hips, so I'm just letting it happen. Settle in. Again, coming back to the breath, to your intention. Two more rounds of breath here. If you've brought any intentional movement here, bring it to a pause. We'll start to bring the hands back towards the mat, underneath the shoulders, pressing the chest up. We'll sink that left hip down and then sweep that right foot out in front of us. And just rotate through that right foot, that ankle. Bringing that to a pause. Inhale, reach the arms up and overhead. Start to twist the torso towards that extended leg. And exhale, we'll fold any amount here. This is as much of a fold as I have today. You might have more, you might have less. And we'll just take some of those grounding breaths here again, breathing low back, mid back, upper back. Then on these exhales, see if you can let yourself fold, even just energetically, slightly further forward. Those inhales get to grow you long from the spine. And those exhales let you fold a little bit deeper, even if it's just that energetic depth. There might not be any visible shift. more breath in. One more breath out. Your next breath in, reach the arms towards the extended feet like you're reaching a ball up and overhead. Let that reach your torso up. And then we're going to exhale, bring the right hand towards the mat. Find a side bend here. You can look up towards the ceiling. You might just find movement in your neck. Trust your body. Trust your intuitive movement here. Next breath in, reach the arm back up, press into that grounded hand, let both hands come towards the mat. We'll bring that extended foot in and we'll come back to that tabletop. And we'll bring it to the other side. So this time, right foot goes back and we'll find that pulsing back and forth. Again, finding a pace that feels good to you. Does your nervous system need faster movement today, slower movement? And when you feel satisfied there, we'll bring it to a pause. Shoulders come back over the wrists. Lifting that back heel off the ground. Big breath in. Exhale, bring the knee towards the nose. Shift it over towards the opposite elbow. Rotate that shin towards the top edge of your mat. We'll wiggle, walk that back leg along, finding our pigeon pose here. Notice what you need on this side. It might be different than the other side. You might stay elevated here, or you can come down to forearms or all the way onto the forehead. Maybe you find some intuitive movement here. Just move gently and notice what your body needs. Letting yourself take breaths in and out, filling into that back body. So thinking about filling into the low back, the mid back, the upper back. Notice any places where you're holding tension and see if you can just invite a little bit of softness there, even if it's just 1% more softness. Letting the teeth separate from each other, the neck and the upper back soften. One more breath in. Let it out, maybe with a sigh. We'll start to walk the hands back underneath the shoulders, lift the chest, shift onto that right hip to sweep the left leg out long. Big breath in to reach the arms up and overhead. Twist the torso towards the extended leg and exhale, fold any amount. And I really mean any amount. You might be completely upright. That's okay. With every inhale, think about breathing into the low back, the mid back, the upper back to gain length through the spine. And then as you exhale, give yourself permission to soften and round forward. And there's these little undulations that happen in the spine with the breath. We'll take a couple more rounds of breath here in our forward fold. On your next inhale, reach the arms towards the extended leg like you're holding an imaginary beach ball and lift that beach ball up and overhead. Exhale. Oh gosh, I don't remember which side we side bent on. Let's bring the left hand down, reach the right arm up and overhead. If you notice that right knee pulling up towards the midline, see if you can soften that down, and we'll breathe in this side bend here. Breath in to sweep that right arm up towards the ceiling. Press into the left hand. Bring the right hand down. And we'll shift to bring both feet in. We'll come back onto the back body here. If you have blocks or a bolster, I invite you to grab them. We're coming into, oh, Oliver might be joining us. Didn't need to call you over, buddy. That's okay though. Get yourself set up on the back body, feet on the earth. We're gonna do a little bridge pose here, supported bridge. So if you don't have any props, that's okay. We're just gonna press into the feet, lift the hips any amount off the ground. Think about the points of the hips moving towards the ceiling. And if you have a prop here, you can slide a bolster, a block, a pillow under that low back and let the hips settle down. If not, an invitation to tuck the tailbone, lower the hips all the way back down onto the mat. And whether you arrive in this supported bridge or in that restorative posture with the hips on the earth, I invite you to just let the hips sink into whatever they're resting on. Sending that breath all the way down to the low back. Giving yourself permission to let those exhales be sighs or to make sound. You could stay here, or you might take a variation with your legs. So you might bring the knees in towards the chest. Just make sure that that prop is securely underneath your hips. Hi, buddy. You might reach the feet towards the ceiling. You could even find yourself against a wall and take either of those shapes there as well. Find a place that feels comfortable to hold for a while, knowing that you can shift between these variations as you like. We'll just come back to those 3-part breaths in, those 3-part breaths out. Maybe you come back to your mantra. Wherever you're at, we'll start to lower the legs down if they're lifted, bringing the feet back towards the mat. Pressing into the feet, lifting the hips up off the mat or the prop. Spend one breath in this active bridge. And then exhale, lower back down. We'll bring the feet together, the knees wide here. If it feels okay to bring some touch, you can bring the hands to the hip points or the hands to the heart and the chest. And we'll breathe here in our Supta Baddha Konasana. Letting the hips get heavy. If this posture doesn't feel good in your body, you can always come into a little side laying position with the knees in towards the chest. Or even laying just in Shavasana on the mat here. You might notice some twitching or some shaking. If that ever becomes uncomfortable, you can bring the knees back in and up and in towards the chest. That'll generally get it to rest. If you feel comfortable in this shape, stay here for a few more rounds of breath. And when you do feel ready, you'll bring the hands towards the outer edges of those legs, close them like a book. We'll bring the knees in towards the chest, open the arms wide, and then bring the knees over to one side, finding a twist. Whichever side your legs bumped over to, you can peek your gaze over towards the other side, finding a twist. And again, we'll just breathe those deep breaths. Start to bring the head back through center so that your gaze is up towards the ceiling, and then we'll bring the knees back through center and then over towards the other side. You might pause to shift the hips slightly before navigating all the way over. Just notice what your body needs. Oof. And then your eyes can stay up towards the ceiling, or you might look over that opposite shoulder. Breathing into the low side body, the rib cage, that space underneath the armpit, and out the same way. Bring the eyes back towards the ceiling. The knees come in towards the chest. We'll pull everything in towards that center point of our body. So knees towards the chest, hands come to wrap around the shins, nose comes towards knees, this small ball shape. And here, take the biggest breath of your entire practice. And on an exhale, let the limbs go, let the head go. We'll come to our Shavasana, legs out long. Take a moment to assess what other things you need in this resting shape. A blanket, a pillow, maybe a little song or music. Asking yourself that question, what do you need to be 1% more comfortable? Give yourself that 1%. And once we land here, know that you can come out of your Shavasana at any time. What is happening? You can come out of your Shavasana at any time. Sorry, I had some mat technical difficulties. Or you can wait for me to cue you. And probably spend about 10-ish minutes here. Letting the muscles of your face soften. If your teeth are clenched together, letting them fall apart with the lips still closed. Tucking the shoulder blades underneath the rib cage so that your chest is bright and light. Letting the hips settle down, the legs get heavy and turn outwards. Maybe the hands rest on the body or out towards the side, hands face up for some receptivity. Hands face down to continue with that theme of grounding and releasing. Let yourself rest here, knowing that I will wake you when we're done. Let the first movement that comes back to your body be that full intentional breath in. Maybe a sigh out. Let movement come back to the toes and the fingertips. Maybe they start to wiggle. Maybe the feet and the hands shift from side to side. Just let those small little movements grow up the limbs until you've cultivated enough movement for a full body stretch. Maybe a yawn. And then we'll bring the legs in towards the body and gently rock to one side. Taking a moment here in this very important posture, this first shape that we ever really make in life. And taking a moment for gratitude. Thanking yourself for coming to your practice, for arriving. And then when you're ready, we'll start to sit up. Bringing the hands towards the heart space. Taking in a breath together. Sigh out together. The light and love in me, see the light and love in you. Together we become stronger, we become brighter. Together we bow forward to mark our practice. I'm going to look at these messages here. Hopefully my sound was on, not sure. If you were practicing along, thank you. I hope you have a good one.